What's up, chat? How's it going? It's Tuesday. We're getting tactical, as you do. What's up, everybody? Hope everyone's having a good day. Hope everyone had a good weekend. Hope y'all caught the Crucible stream. I was down in sunny and gorgeous Orlando, Florida all weekend to live stream the Crucible GT at the CastleCon, and it was sick. I think it went super well. Yeah, I had a great time. It was a sick tournament. Super cool. A little bit of a snafu on day two, unfortunately. We had a fire alarm get pulled, which was a little bit awkward. It caused us to lose a little bit of footage at the end of the game there. Plus some pairings hold-ups, unfortunately. Delayed things there, but otherwise I think it was pretty good. You can go check that out. You can find all my live streams, by the way, over on the live tab of the YouTube channel. So if you click on the YouTube channel, go to youtube.com/TacticalTortoise. There's a little live tab right there. It says live. You click on that, boom. All the live streams are there. All the Tactical Tuesdays, all the live event coverage. We have more coming up, by the way. This weekend is going to be the New England Open Invitational. That is only an 8-player event, but that's because it's the 8 top ranked players regionally for the New England circuit, which is basically like sort of New York up through Maine, so a good like quarter of the country. I guess maybe a little bit less. Maybe in terms of population, probably in terms of population, but it is. This top corner of the country, there's going to be some big names right there. Sam Pope is playing in that one. I know that everyone's excited about that one because he always brings some spicy Tyranid lists, which is probably what he's going to be bringing. We also got Daniel Wilmuth playing up there as well, who was, I want to say he was top 3 ACO last year. He's an incredibly strong player, and I've streamed a lot on the channel as well. Sean Naden qualified, but he ended up not actually accepting the invite. He was taking a break from 40K to do some family stuff. Didn't end up going over there. But if you stay tuned after this stream, there is going to be a redirect to that event page. That is this Saturday, 10 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time. That one is presented by Warhammer Retreats. If you are in the New England area and you want to participate in the circuit and you want to play some sick 40K, Warhammer Retreat is a good place to go. They don't sponsor this stream, but they are sponsoring that stream and helping me get out there. That's down in Connecticut for me to stream that event. But I'm excited about that one because that is going to be we're just gonna windmill slam a bunch of super top tier 40K for a full day, and it's just gonna be finals level 40K all day, and then that's it. That's all we get. We're basically taking the last 2 rounds of a GT. We're ripping out the first half, and you get the top 8 of a GT essentially, which should be super duper fun. Thanks for the kind words about the stream coverage, everybody. Appreciate that. We've got some lists to talk to you about today. And it's going to be a crazy week in terms of lists. We saw some spicy results. Adeptus Custodes with 2 GT wins this week. We're going to talk about that. We got a little bit of Adeptus Mechanicus to go through, some Chaos Space Marines, so Leagues of Votann as well. It's going to be a good one. Now, if you are paying attention, I did not upload a Best Armies of 40K video yesterday. I was on my way home. I was traveling home, and I elected not to stop and rip out a Best Armies in 40K video. I wasn't sure about it, and the last couple of Best Armies videos have, I don't know, seem to have fallen off quite a bit. So I'm not sure where the series is going to end up going. I think what I might end up doing is going back to covering individual event results rather than doing like a holistic look at the entire metagame. I think that was interesting for the beginning of the edition, maybe the beginning of new formats, but it is less exciting for like one. We're kind of in a doldrums right now, right? You know, we get to talk about how Sisters of Battle won 5 GTs again. Okay, cool. Well, that's fun. It's more interesting to focus on the individual stuff, and I have a sneaking suspicion that people aren't quite as interested in talking about all the lists that look the same as all the other ones from all the last weeks. So yeah, the last couple episodes of that haven't done so hot, and we'll probably reorient the show a little bit, but that does mean that we can go back to our originally scheduled broadcast. This is some 9th edition Tactical Tuesday stuff over here, chat. This is what we used to do at Tactical Tuesday. We'd come over to our friend's website over here at tournaments.discountgamesinc.com. Or I guess discountgames.com/tournaments is where we're at. They host undefeated lists from a bunch of different games, but also including 40K, and we get to take a peek at those lists. So I think that's just what we're going to be doing today. We're just going to be rocking through undefeated lists, and it's going to be kind of like a best armies of 40K, but we're doing it live. We're literally doing it live. So yeah, that's what we're going to talk about. And if anybody has a faction that they would love to discuss, then we can hop in. We're bored of Gladius, Dark Angels, and ACDC. So you're the literal OnePlus. You're the only person I see post about ACDC. More often than not, I see people post about how lame it is that there isn't enough Chaos Space Marines. That has been the predominant result. Some people are like, "Oh, Gene Stealer Cult's underperforming." Yeah, for sure. Gene Stealer Cult, they suck. But so many people are like, "I don't see any Chaos Space Marines." That's weird. Obviously, the last 3 weeks or so, lots of Chaos Space Marines. I think they've really they've sort of figured out the faction. But I don't know if generally speaking people are tired of a cursed cultist. I think that might just be you. But people are, I would say, Gladius Dark Angels, for sure. Boring. It's been good for, since last season. It's not even new. And I would say Adeptus Custodes. Although Adeptus Custodes has fallen off a little bit. I don't think they had any wins this week, which is wild. It's absolutely shocking. And we got some Tau Empire. We got some Astral Militarum. It's actually pretty diverse this week. Yeah, but they've sucked to talk about over and over because the lists are always identical. But hopefully, I think the metagame has maybe shifted, and now they're getting the crap kicked out of them, and they actually have to adapt, which would be good. But Adeptus Custodes is the big one for sure. Waiting for Agents of the Imperium to get updated on Wahapedia. I think that they are. Are they not? I think that Laufer announced the other day that they were updated. Maybe I'm a crazy person. Let's look. Survey says, yeah, nope, they're up there. They are. Ordo Xenos, Ordo Hereticus. It's all up there, chat. Ta-da! All the rules. Thanks, Wahapedia. You rule. Appreciate you, buddy. There you go, chat. You can give some Agents of the Imperium a go. I might give some Agents of the Imperium a go. I don't know if I would play actual agents. I feel like I would play a Warhound Titan and hope for the best. Hopefully you aren't disappointed by what you see. Oh, it is not an impressive codex. Don't get me wrong, chat. Do not expect much from the Agents of the Imperium codex. It is mostly for use with other codexes. It is not by itself very good. I feel like I've kind of I don't know if I want to bury the lead here and not talk about Adeptus Custodes because I feel like they're in the thumbnail. Maybe we should just rip that Band-Aid off. 2 wins from Adeptus Custodes this week, which is rad. Now, we had a little bit of an interesting week. We had a couple majors. Crucible, obviously. That's a big one. I streamed that one. You go check out all my coverage of it. It was rad. 120 players. Super sweet. The biggest year the Crucible's done. And I was talking to the event organizers after the show. They are super psyched about next year. They said that the whole convention went incredibly well. And they're ready to expand it to hopefully 160 next year. So that's super rad. Also, Smite Club Open, another big one, 100 plus players. I think that one is 140. Goonhammer Open was also there. That was streamed over by Hellstorm Wargaming, which was super cool. And that was a little bit smaller, though. That was only, I think, 60 players. But still, a bunch of pretty big events. I also believe that some of these other ones were kind of big. Italian Grand Tournament was relatively large, but it only ran 5 rounds. So there was a bunch of stuff that I think this was 80 players. But there was they just had 3 undefeated at the end there. But then there were a bunch of really a ton of smaller events. So smaller GTs between 16 and 30 players. All of this is kind of in that event size, and so they had a lot of individual undefeated results to go through. So let's talk about the GT Radioactivo. Juan Diego Barragan Mateos. I'm going to go with that. That's probably a rolled R, which I was kind of struggling with. I was literally thinking about this yesterday when I was driving home, and I was like, I can't roll R's. I don't know how to do it. and it makes me sad because I feel like I could sound so much more interesting, but no, it's just gonna be a long R today. Who's ready for demons to get the agents treatment? Please fucking God, no. Please God, no. Don't make me. I already want to quit Pariah Nexus. Don't make me also want to quit all of 40k. Jesus Christ. No, I would hate that. Thanks, I hate it. I hope that rumor does not come true, where demons get rolled into their cult codexes. Oh boy, would I fucking not like that at all. Demon's the only fun I have in 40k left. Moment of silence for Kevin the Mutalith. Poor Kevin. Oh, so there's a little bit of this is not a sequitur. This is not related to this Custodes list at all. A little bit of additional context, or I guess after action report from Crucible. Mike Mizeni and John Lennon. John's Azrael got devastating wounded by Magnus, and he said, "This is fine. I'll pop my Watcher in the dark. I have a 4+ fail no pain against mortal wounds. Everything is fine." And then proceeded to fail all of them and die instantly. And so he was like, "What the fuck, Azrael? Whatever. I'm getting a new Azrael." Mike had Kevin the Mutalith, who is just a piece of trash the entire game and accomplished literally nothing. Kept rolling ones on his mortal wound pulse. Kept just flubbing out on Deathwing Knights. And so he was like, "Kevin the Mutalith sucks. I have another Mutalith sitting on my shelf at home. He's gonna get replaced." John had another Azrael that he had converted sitting on his shelf. They elected, and they took some pictures. You might see this on the Art of War Facebook page. I hope I'm not spoiling it for them. You might see some pictures of this. They elected after the game. They swapped models, and they're going to use each other's models as basic material. So Magnus gets a trophy Azrael, and John gets a Mutalith Vortex Beast to apply to the bases of his models, which is fucking rad. So some extra lore for the Crucible result there. Have one of every greater demon. Can't wait for it to be worth nothing. Please no. Yeah, I'm painting. I'm still staring at all my greater demons on my shelf right here. Where my lords of change. I'm still staring at all my greater demons because I'm going to be painting them over the course of the next month or so and getting my army all painted up. Man, if that army just gets squatted, oh boy, am I going to be upset. Yeah, mostly because I don't know. Mostly because of the playstyle, I think. I'm not even that invested in Chaos Demons to themselves, and I understand that many armies get heavily changed over through between editions, but it's the only army whose playstyle I actually enjoy playing right now. So I don't know. It is what it is. So yeah, let's talk about some Adeptus Custodes chat. This list rocking 1 trillion infantry. We're just basically back to all of the infantry custodian guard all together. So we're rocking triple blade champions, no enhancements whatsoever. We are in a shield host. I believe that all the Custodes lists are in a shield host, but don't quote me on that. We'll check the other one after this. Triple blade champions plus triple custodian guard, or quadruple custodian guard, excuse me, double custodian wardens. We do not have Kyria Draxus in this list, so we are we're certainly attaching 2 blade champions to the custodian wardens, 1 to each warden unit, and then 1 to a custodian guard squad. But it's interesting that we are not taking the perennial custodian guard attachment character to give her all the rerolls. And to be honest, the custodian guards are probably pretty good to sort of drop points for the other inquisitors too, because they also have devastating wound weapons, which is pretty sweet. I don't know. Triple prosecutors for utility, and then double Venatari custodians as well to add a little bit of reach to the army. I imagine some of this stuff is going to be deep striking on top of them, so we can 1 CP deep strike custodian guard squad and then duplicate it with all of the other guys. But that is just a ton of custodian infantry bearing down the table at you. I guess it's a very straightforward list, to be honest. It's just a bunch of dudes. Back to the old golden tide. Just a million infantry guys. Venatari Arsoges, yeah, for sure. Yeah, they're at, what is this, 155? It was crazy when they released it at 70 points per model. That was nuts. But 55 points, you get a custodian body with move 12 plus lance, plus the updated or the improved deep strike, the free rapid ingress, and that is all absolutely crazy. That's so good. So pretty sweet stuff. I don't know. They're definitely one of the few things I think that's keeping the faction aloft. Because Caladius Grav tanks are doing their best as well. They're a little expensive, although their profile is so strong, it's hard to be, too inexpensive for that profile. But the Caladius Grav tank is incredible. But Venatori Custodian is definitely, I think, giving the army that speed and that reach that it normally wouldn't have, because everything else is just a move 6 deuter. Which is really easy to counterplay unless you had this rapid ingress sort of technology. Now the other one here is over at the Shanghai Sanlin Chinese Championship. Yisheng, I think this is Yisheng Shen, going undefeated with, and so I'm sure somebody can correct me if I'm wrong about that pronunciation there. Getting first place here with Adeptus Custodes. We also had their follow-up was Space Wolves, which I'm sure we'll talk about momentarily here. They had a draw on their record, a natural draw on their record, but otherwise went undefeated. Yeah, also we are also rocking a shield host today. It looks like this time we are doing the Panopticus Specs, which I believe is the Ignore Cover enhancement on a Blade Champion to buff his unit up. But this list is a little bit spicier in terms of the character selection, because we do have an Alaris Shield Captain. Excuse me. I almost said Shield Terminator. He doesn't get a shield. He's just a guy. And it looks like he has 2 Alaris Custodians with him, so he's kind of just a little tiny. He's a tiny baby, sort of deep striking module with those guys. But being able to At the very least, rapid ingress those guys for free now that he can discount the cost of that stratagem is already pretty solid. And when you're considering whether you're going to take an additional 2 Alaris Custodians or you're going to take this dude for 165 points, so you're paying 35 points more, you get the same ranged output as a single Alaris Custodian, but you also get the melee output of a Shield Captain plus the enhanced abilities, which is also super good. His enhancement is from the Hall of Armories, which feels like it is a renamed one that I don't know. That is +1 strength and damage. Okay, cool. So he goes to 3 damage. He's rocking, Guardian Spear. So he's strength 8, 3 damage. Plus, he also has the Shield Host stance abilities on top of that as well. Either goes to EP3 or gets enhanced criticals. To buff their Martial Kutaz. Italian GT had a Shadow round, where Astra Militarum won. A Shadow round for the final placements? Oh, or to qualify for the top. That's weird, because they have 3 undefeateds. Somebody... That's bizarre. Was that like a top cut game or something? Well, we can talk about that momentarily. That's we're definitely going to talk about the Militarum list that took first place there. But that does seem weird. I don't know. Miss Bike Custodes. Yeah, the Custodes being like hyper elite and super fast was a little bit sad. The Bike Custodians are really trash right now, but part of that feels like it's a little bit of a problem with the mounted keyword. Having to use through the air movement, like flying mounted units were just so incredibly strong for the longest time because they could ignore terrain and had a high base movement. Now they have to go around terrain like regular units, which is good, except that mounted units are already kind of hamstrung on terrain regardless. So you already don't really see mounted units unless they're very specifically keyworded. And it feels like they just got hit coming and going, right? Because they also reduced their stat line. They used to have an enhanced stat line over the standard custodians. Over and above what they do now, and now they're also like having to maneuver around terrain and having problems with that, and that's already kind of unfortunate. Any Imperial agents? Undefeated? No, no, there are no undefeated Imperial agents, Jeff. There was an Imperial agent at Crucible. I do not know what their final placement was. I think they lost round 1 instantly. So it wasn't like a blowout. They lost a game, but they did not win to begin with. Bikes being T6 and all other bikes are also T6 is weird. Are they? Like Space Marine bikes are typically T5, right? I think bikes just tend to be +1 toughness over what your normal guys are. What is an Outrider? Outrider is T5, right? Maybe I'm a crazy person. Like I said, I have not seen an Outrider in a million years. So I might literally just not know. Yeah, they're T5. So I think T6 off of a... Oh, but the Custodian Guards are T6. Yeah, that's what you're saying. Okay, I get it. Yeah, no, they should be T7, I agree. It's weird that they're, unlike other bikers, they're not +1 toughness over what the base infantry are. I agree with that. Yes, 100%. And their shooting got nerfed too, yeah. Yeah, the shooting was always like kind of a nice bonus for sure. Like being able to apply Custodian weapon profiles at a very long threat range always felt like it was the reason that you took those guys. And also being able to be like a sink for their stratagems. When you could dump stratagems onto the big units and get them like the buff where they get better when you kill models out of their unit. I forget what it's called. Avenge the Fallen. It still exists in the game, but it's different now. Was pretty nice because it was just a big unit that you could do it on. But they feel so hamstrung now for sure. Wish Outriders were okay. Yeah. I wonder how much of the issue like with these bike profiles is literally like problems with the mounted keyword. Like, I think that a lot of that stuff you would see a lot more often if they could go through walls. You know what I mean? And I think it like mounted is just, unless you have some really powerful abilities on your datasheet, mounted is just so much of a hamstring over being infantry. It's crazy. Like you would never, even like at their current level, you would never take Outriders over Jump Pack Assault Intercessors, even if they were cheaper, because JPIs can run through stuff. So you physically cannot fulfill the same role with an Outrider that you can with this unit that is already superior, higher model count, higher attack volume, higher damage output, more maneuverable, and yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense, chat. Which is, I guess, like thematically appropriate for a bicycle. A guy on a bicycle feels like it should be maybe a little bit unmaneuverable, just very fast. But that's it. You want the unit to have a reason to exist in the game, and right now it doesn't. It's a dedicated White Scar simp. Yeah, that is unfortunate. High Riders aren't bad at 80 points, but you're comparing them directly to like Jump Pack Intercessors. Like it's not even close. Not even close. They're just crazy. You take them to move block. I don't know. That feels like it's tough. Without a pregame move, I don't know how well they move block. What do I think of Sisters with 2 Immolators? I think very poorly of the player who runs it. Is the answer. But anyway, let's talk about this Adeptus Custodes list. We've got the Double Blade Champions. We've got the Alara Shield Captain, the pumped up Swole Alara Shield Captain, 1 Calidus Assassin for the Uppy Downy. The Alara's Custodians also have a built-in Uppy Downy as well, so we have 2. Plus, Kyria Draxus to jump into Custodian Guard Squad. We've got 2 Guard Squads. One of them has a shield in each. A lot of times you take a quad Guardian Spear Squad to buff, because we're focusing on the shooting, but not today. We're taking the shield as well on the Vexilla guy, so they get the +1 AP. Or excuse me, OC, not AP. OC, so they go to OC3. Pretty solid. Double Custodian Wardens for the Blade Champions to hop into. Double Prosecutors for your utility. Double Venatari Custodians. A Witch Seeker in an Anathema Psychotic Rhino. You love to see it, Jeff. The Anathema Psychotic Rhino, probably slept on. Rhinos are Already good. Probably one of the better data sheets in 40k. In general, this one has upside because it's Anathema Psychona, so it has the feel no pain against against psychic damage. So it's super difficult to kill in some very specific instances. Like Magnus the Red bounces occasionally off this thing, and also you get a Rhino. Plus, it scouts if you've attached only the Witch or embarked only the Witch Seekers into it. On top of that, so you can also push them even farther up the table. You can scout move, then get the disembark 3 inches forward, and then move them super far. So a ton of upside on that Rhino. A lot of times we see that in Talons, but that's not what we're running today. I think we're just taking it as a utility unit or as protection for the Prosecutors, so they don't get killed by indirect fire on the turn 1. Pretty useful against in some matchups, like things like Chaos Knights that can just pick those units up. Just with mass indirect fire. Tau as well. A little bit less often, but occasionally. And having a Rhino also prevents that from happening too. You love it. I love it. We're here to talk about Imperial Agents though. Well, we got Imperial Agents right here. There you go, chat. I got your Imperial. That's Imperial Agents from Wish over here. With all the Custodian Guard. Outriders are definitely very big. But like... You have to have the... And I guess like they do advance auto 6. And in some layouts, they can set up in a position where they can move very far forward. But you have to have the maneuverability to get where where you want to go. And that's so difficult to do with mounted units on oval bases. Because you not only have to go around terrain, but you also have to pivot. And it's only a 1-inch pivot now, so it's actually not too bad. But it still, in some instances, can like mess with your positioning. And you have to do that from a position where you didn't start like just dead. You could just deploy them on the line and be fine. But because they don't have scout, if you go second, you just lose them. So they have this like big real estate. They have to take up a space in your line of sight blocking, and then that has to be in a position where they can move like around a corner to actually get into a spot where it's relevant. It's like it's very terrain dependent, is what I'm saying, which is awkward. It's TMU agents. Sisters with 2 Immolators. Sisters with 2 Immolators. Oh, you mean Sisters with Immolators as Imperial Agents? I thought you just meant Adeptus Sororitas. That's a much different question. I think that the big benefit of Immolators, in my opinion, you get a lot of utility, but they think they act as support for other ranged attacks more than they are good by themselves, right? So the big benefit that you have for taking the heretic, whatever the Ordo Hereticus Immolators, is that you get ignore cover on a stick, which is a big deal. So not like you get to split the Battle Sisters into multiple units, which is already big, but this Immolator by itself is not, I don't think it's worth the points without the use of Miracle Dice, and without like the whole Dominion combo is like a whole thing. And you don't get access to that in Imperial Agents, but you do get the ignore cover on a stick, which is a big deal. So if you are taking a lot of weapon profiles that care about cover, I think the Immolator is pretty good. It is a little expensive for what it does. I think you could just take Kodiaz, and he's like a little bit more awkward, but he's more efficient at doing that thing. If the goal is to run like the 15 guard and get work out of them, I think the ignore cover is probably pretty reasonable. But I don't know if that's the most efficient shooting you have in Adeptus Custodes, if that makes sense. And I don't know if I would take 2 Immolators. If I would take like double Immolator and double Battle Sister or something like that, so you got 4 utility units, that feels like a lot. Especially without any consistency out of Miracle Dice, it gets really weird. So I would say I'm kind of lukewarm on it, I think. I don't know if I necessarily love it in Custodes specifically, but I definitely do think that they're useful in a lot of situations. Having Hellhounds, like Hellhounds from Wish on every faction is a pretty big deal. You can only take 1 Sister Squad? Is it because they have like a weird keyword? Oh, it's because they're requisitioned units, right? Yeah, I don't think I would take like double Sisters and double Immolators. That seems like too much. I would take 1 Immolator. Well, there's some Adeptus Custodes chat. Shield host getting work done. Should we hop over and talk about some Space Wolves? Because we have a lot of Space Wolves to talk about. A little bit of old-fashioned Space Wolves. So the other one... so this is Chen Liang from the Shanghai San Lin Chinese Championship. 4-0-1. So undefeated, but 1 draw on the record. Took a Stormlands task force. So we are we are solidly in like last season's technology. We've got 2 battle leader Wolfguard battle leaders on Thunderwolves, a Wolf Lord, Bjorn the Fell-Handed, and Logan Grimnar. So we have 2 potentially fully kitted out Thunderwolf teams because we could put Logan with the Wolfguard battle leader because he's on Storm Rider, plus the Wolf Lord with the other Wolfguard battle leader. Bjorn just fucking rules. I don't know. You watch my Wolfbots video if you want me here to talk about Bjorn the Fell-Handed. I don't know how much like you need to go into his profile. He just has an insane brace of good rules. We got 2 units of Jump Pack Assault Intercessors, 3 units of Scouts, 30 Wolfen, and 12 Thunderwolf Cavalry. So it feels like to me, we have basically cut a Thunderwolf brick to get Bjorn, which gives you a little bit of like a mid-board objective control, right? And we don't have any... We are in Stormlands, but there's no Hunter's Instincts in this list at all. So we're not wolf jailing people. We are just running at them the normal way. And that's, to be fair, probably a good enough jail. Bjorn is legitimately hard to kill. You can make the Thunderwolves hard to kill with stratagems, but Bjorn makes it's just generally annoying. So he can stay under the center of the table, and your opponent has to overcommit to get rid of him. And the other benefit that he has is that if you are in a position where you are trying to restrict the opponent's movement, and they are trying to come at you to fight you in close combat, Bjorn messes with that so hard because he's a Lord of Deceit as well. So, I think Bjorn kind of synergizes extremely well with the very aggressive melee bent. The problem is getting him into range Lord of Deceit people early is a little bit difficult, but on the new layouts, on the Prime Nexus layouts, there are a lot of places for a 60 mil like Bjorn to just like sort of chill inside the Thunderwolf brick, and then he can follow up just after them. So it's not too bad. And then being able to advance and charge usually gets him into mid-board stuff too, if you have utility units in the center. And then we're also making room for the Jump Pack Assault Intercessors, so we can commit onto objectives and do stuff without having to commit the Thunderwolf Cavalry to do it, which is big. Because the Wolfen in Pariah Nexus cannot perform actions because they're OC0. So they're basically almost entirely worthless in terms of utility, outside of scoring like Engage maybe. So we need the Jump Pack Assault Intercessors to help shore up that weakness, which is a weakness that we didn't really see in this list previously, because you could just do stuff with the Wolfen units regardless. So it definitely this list feels like a bit of an evolution on the classic Stormlands Task Force. That's another list that we've seen a million times, so we might get a little bit bored. Bonzi Kitty, how did the Demons game fare? Which Demons game? The one on Wednesday? I have more scheduled, by the way. I'm playing Josie Cartwright next week, which should be good with Demons on Monday. Yeah, that game was wild. The VOD's available over on Twitch. I should mention as well, I have a game scheduled right after this. We're playing, shit, what's the list? I can't keep track. I've submitted so many memes. Oh, it's Tank Commanders. Tank Company. We're playing Tank Company. There's a Patreon video about the list specifically, but we're playing Tank Company against Necrons right after this. I didn't mention it earlier, but if you go follow me on Twitch, everybody, twitch.tv/TacticalTortoise. I will be live with that game. That's at 7 p.m. US Eastern, so it's 2.5 hours from now, so it'll probably be just after the show ends. But yeah, the Demons game on Wednesday went weird. I played that on my laptop, which is exciting. I have a new laptop, which I live stream from on hotel Wi-Fi, which is an adventure. Although it was really good, actually. It was super fast. In the middle of Carolina somewhere. Really fast Wi-Fi out of a Best Western, which was awesome. And it kind of flipped on its head because my Great Unclean One got charged right out of the gate, like top 2. I figured I could maybe trade it for 2 carnivores. I was like, I think I can get them to expose a bunch of carnivores to get rid of this thing. I can trade it for 2. I had a secondary. I think I had Secure No Man's Land that was also going to score with it. And I was like, I think we have to initiate the peace trading game against Chaos Knights with this Grid Unclean one. He rocked up. A carnivore charged him, hit him for 11 damage. Which, if you have ever played against the Endless Gift Grid Unclean one, is like dramatically more damage than he should ever receive ever. I was like, this sucks, but it's okay. I'm going to get that carnivore for it. I shot him for 1 billion damage. I dropped a unit of blood letters to kill him. And they failed the charge with the reroll. Like 5-inch charge out of deep strike with the reroll. I failed it. I was like, oh, okay, well, I think we might lose here. This is unfortunate. So that carnivore ran away. 2 new carnivores came in, plus a bunch of shooting into the Grid Unclean one. He lived on 1, turned around and killed one of the carnivores. That opened up a screen for Scarbrand to get in on 2 War Dogs and kill both of them. He like smashed their heads together and killed both of them. And from there, it was all downhill from there for my opponent. So that was literally the entire game. The Grid Unclean one ate a bunch of damage. He got excited about it, went in to go kill him. The saves came back the other way. He survived a ridiculous amount of damage and then spiked super hard on a War Dog and killed it. And that was what flipped the game. It was an insanely dicey game. It was some of the weirdest dice I've ever experienced. I think I diced my opponent, the shit out of my opponent. He rolled like 3 lethal hits and 1 natural wound, and then my opponent failed all the saves, and he rolled 12 damage on the D6s. I was like, oh my god, I'm sorry, man. I don't know what to tell you. Jesus. Listening at 1.5 speed? How is that possible? This is a live stream. I guess you start at the beginning. Yeah, go watch the VOD. It was pretty wild. It was an insane game for sure. But yeah, I appreciate that. And yeah, everybody come hang out with me over on Twitch at the end of this stream. I will be drunk for that game for sure. That's what we're doing. What's the best enhancement in the game, and why does no one know it? It's Soulless Reaper. All right, what is that? Because I don't know what that is. An Annihilation Legion Destroyer cults only on a 3+. Each time an enemy unit within gets range of the bear's unit is selected to fall back. On a 3+, it cannot fall back and must remain stationary. That is a very good enhancement. It is also pretty narrow use case. We had some discussions about the best enhancement in the game. I think Endless Gift is on the certainly on the list. I think the demon ones are crazy. Fate's Messenger might be on there too, and I think we had another one in the chamber. Oh, Fire Discipline, I think is also on the line or in the discussion as well. I think for the best enhancements in the game. Those ones are a little bit more proactive though. But a 3+ no fallback on anything is pretty good. Don't get me wrong. That's a very good enhancement. I had to teach a player the other day on stream that the stratagem to lock people in melee with Black Templars does not work on enemy vehicles. And that enhancement does not have that problem. I wonder if Custodes would come to Legions Imperialis. Like the little tiny baby game? Probably. I would expect them to show up there more before I expect them to show up in with like a new Horus Heresy release, right? Oh, they have a 6-inch consolidated as well. I'll buy that. Yeah, I could see that being situationally good. It does kind of require your opponent to cooperate with you a little bit, but I could definitely see a situation in which that would be kind of nutty. Well, let's talk about some champions of rest today, chat. So we're over here on the Italian GT, and to be honest, let me pull up the BCP page. I apologize for all the typing, everyone. To be honest, I'm interested in this Shadow Round stuff. So here is the BCP page for this event. There's a golden ticket event. Winner is also the custodian of Dispreso, an ultramarine relic. That's cool. Is it like a sword? That sounds rad. So I don't know anything about a shadow round, but I guess Adeptus Militarum has an additional win on their record. Is that what we're saying here? Also, I appreciate Giorgio Castelli over here. Just playing Xenos. What's your faction? I don't know. Some kind of alien. Whatever. It's Necrons, by the way. Andrea Manfroni with a Champions of Frost list. Ragnar Blackmane, plus Bjorn the Fell-Handed. Triple Wolf, the Thunderwolf Battle Leaders. One with Pelt of the Beowulf and a Frost Weapon Thunderwolf Lord. We've got an Assault Intercessor squad, probably for Ragnar to jump into. He gives them advance and charge, so you don't need to use the stratagem to put them in advance and charge. And then they give him rerolls, which is awesome, because his strength is kind of whatever. Hey, Bonsai Kitty! Welcome to the Advanced Tactics tier. You can get all my patron videos. Every time I do list tech or the list construction videos, that's where those go. So if you subscribe to that tier, then you'll get all my patron exclusive videos. They're also available over on the Patreon as well for that same level. Yeah, win with Votann too. I wonder, Custodes in Legionis Imperialis, by the way, going back to that question, Eddie. I don't know if, like, does that fit the theme of that game, right? Because it's extremely, like, wide-scale strategic. And I don't know if Custodes really operate in that capacity. But also, I'm not that familiar with the Horus Heresy, like, lore, so who knows? I imagine if that game is popular, they'll eventually get to everything in that setting. We've also got double Jump Back Assault Intercessors, sort of normal stuff, plus Venetian Wolves for utility. 18 Thunderwolf Cavalry, 1 Vindicator, 1 Wolfen Squad, and a Scout Squad. Okay. Well, this feels a lot more Stormlancy than the other Stormlands lists we looked at. This is much more straightforward. Just a bunch of Thunderwolf Cavalry, plus the Assault Intercessor Squad with Ragnar Blackmane to mop things up. Pretty normal, I guess. And this also has the added benefit of really giving you a ton of like super aggressive characters, which have a really good chance of completing your sagas, which is why these Thunderwolf lists tend to be pretty good alongside Champions of Russ. It just fits the archetype extremely well, because you want to have characters in very aggressive positions so that you can call sagas and then complete them very quickly. And having these huge units that are super fast, like Move 10, Advance, and Charge, that have 2 characters in them each is huge. Which is, I think, why it's probably... I guess these ones only have 1 character, to be fair. 2 of them only have 1 character, and 1 of them has 2. But it's kind of a... I don't know. It's like a marriage between Thunderwolves and the Space Wolves detachment that I think enhances Thunderwolves past the point of the fact that they are already an incredibly strong unit type. All right, so I think it's probably all the Space Wolves we talk about, but I think we can dive into some Adeptus Militarum here, because I do want to talk about these Adeptus Militarum. We also saw Winchester GT, Martin Cooper, Adeptus Militarum Extraordinaire, also went 5-0 with that faction as well. So we get to talk about a little bit of Adeptus Militarum, who have been having kind of a good season so far. I think Militarum might be one of the more underrated factions in Brian Nexus for sure, and I think 10th edition in general. Especially with the updates to Combined Regiment, they are super strong. If they stopped being just like the weirdest, most annoying faction to play, just in terms of like the weird idiosyncrasies of the rules, I think it would be much better, but it is what it is. It always feels like a faction where at any point somebody could come tell you that you're playing the game wrong, and then you would have to agree with them. Let's see. We've got Lord Solar Leontis, we've got Gaunt's Ghost, a Tempestus Command Squad, and a Platoon Command Squad plus a Tank Commander. All normal stuff so far. A Catachan Jungle Fighter Squad, that's for Lord Solar Leontis to join into, it looks like. Plus Armored Sentinel unit. Triple Armored Sentinels. So we're really focusing on... We have one unit that we super duper want to reinforce, which is the Armored Sentinels. They want to go in, get ordered, drop their Hunter Killer missiles, hopefully kill something, get killed back, Windmill Slam the reinforcement, bring them in off your opponent's table edge. and then you're off to the races. 18 Bulgrin in the center, plus double Rogaldorns, plus 2 Scout Sentinels, and a Tempestus Scion unit. So we have a little bit of the emergency, like the big red button Tempestus Scion squad that can hop in alongside the Tempestor Prime. For the big reroll, clip out sort of opponent's utility units and act as a utility unit themselves. And then we're body blocking for the Rogaldorns with triple Bulgrin and the Armored Sentinel unit as well, which sort of feels like an additional attachment onto this sort of the mass Bulgrin wombo combo. This would be a unit, I would say. This is the Imperium Accursed Cultist squad, I would say, is this Bulgrin squad. It's a little bit less ubiquitous, I guess, than ACDC's, but man, every single Astra Militarum, that's just a trillion Bulgrin, dude. They're so strong. And I know some Astra Militarum players are upset that the faction's sort of going back to their roots, but turns out in a faction where basically every single model in the army is a 5-up save T3 idiot, having a unit that's actually legitimately resilient is really important. And isn't like an awkward vehicle as well. They actually hit good in melee. I wonder if, I don't know. There's a lot of those, there's like mechanics I think you could introduce to factions like Tau and factions like Militarum, where you allow their tanks to operate more effectively in melee. And I think you remove a lot of the necessity for units like that, but GW doesn't want to do that. Shadow Sword with an Agency are really good. Yeah. Strongly agree. Guard Super Heavies, strong. It's the Shadow Sword and the what's the explodey cannon guy? Storm Sword? I think that's the one. That's the one that has been seeing played more recently. Yeah, this guy, Concussive Wave dude. You shoot mortal wounds off the top, and then this weapon profile is just fucking nuts. Although, I've said it before, but I'll say it again because I think it's relevant. These profiles feel totally interchangeable. I think the Baneblade is like kind of a little weird because its AP is really low. All of the other super heavies, you could basically just... And the one with the Nova Cannon is trash. All the other super heavies, you could just like swap between their gun. Because they all just kill whatever they shoot at, right? As soon as you assemble the buffs on them, you're like, all right, I'm rerolling ones. I have +1 to hit from Lord Solar. I get a reroll hit somewhere. You're just gonna probably fucking die. You're getting shot by this plus 4 las cannons plus 1,000 heavy bolters plus a demolisher cannon. Like, yeah, you're probably gonna go down. They're gonna get you. I guess that one doesn't have the Demolisher Cannon. That's hull mounted on the Baneblade chassis. You have to have a turret, I guess, to be Demolisher Cannon-y. Bulgrin randomly being strength 7. Yeah, I don't disagree. Plus, like, strength 7, 2 damage, right? So they're really good into other, like, medium infantry. They're only AP 1, which does kind of cut things sometimes, but it means that you oftentimes have to bleed AOC to, like, survive them. But a lot of times you see Space Marines rock into Bulgrin, don't quite kill them, and then they lose like more than they expected on the crackback. Even if they beat the Bulgrin in combat eventually, the Bulgrin like sort of trade point for point with them because their weapon profile is so strong. And then, or they eat a bunch of CP to Armor of Contempt and try to get them to survive. We'll talk about Martin Cooper's Astra Militarum as well. So far it is the same. We are missing the Tempestus Command Squad. But we are riding Catachan Jungle Fighters. Oh my god, let's go! Infinite numbers of OC2 Scouters with 2 Flamers, chat. These guys rule. Catachan Jungle Fighters, extremely strong. 2 Chimeras, so we can scout move, 2 transports into the center. Plus, this is only 9 Bulgrin, so not all in on the Bulgrin, but we do have a lot of other stuff taking up the middle of the table. The Catachan Jungle Fighters sort of act as the remainder of the Bulgrin. They die really easily, but there's a trillion of them, and they're incredibly disruptive on scoring. Because they're already in the center of the table, and then you can move on them to make them move 9. And they can just advance until your objectives, or charge onto them, and they're not good in melee, but they're not bad. Suddenly, things look really bad for you. You just get off balance on scoring, which was always kind of Master Militarum's traditional weakness. In previous editions anyway, before not 10th edition, was that they were very good at killing, but they were very bad at holding table space, unless you had the stuff like these Bulgrin squads that could actually live and you stacked buffs on them. Now it feels like it's a little bit opposite. They have good utility, and they have incredible midboard control, plus good shooting, which is all good. The downside is that they're a little bit, they're a little like, they have a sort of kind of inflexible, I guess, which doesn't make sense. One Earthshaker carriage battery to slow people down. Lehman Russ battle tank. Triple Vanquishers. I love these guys, by the way, champ. This is I think the Vanquishers are. We actually sort of talked about them on stream a while ago. I was a little curious about them, and then once we dived into the profile, it totally made sense. They have so many benefits. They get a las cannon, their top gun, plus 2 sponson weapons. In this case, we're taking plasma cannons for 145 points on a Lehman Russ chassis. So they're T11, 2+ save. So they're really inefficient to kill. They also have 1 trillion guns. And if you ever try to put like heavy armored stuff in the fight with them, they'll probably just kill it. Because the Vanquisher battle cannon does so much damage. The other thing that's interesting about them is that they're physically kind of large. Because they have the battle cannon on them, I think the tank ends up being about 1.5 inches longer than the other Lehman Russ variants, and that lets them take up a lot of table space as well. So they can screen really interestingly, because you always measure horizontal distance to screen. So if they have their guns sticking out, they can actually kind of artificially increase their surface area. They can body block pretty well because you can't move underneath that gun, for example. So they have there's a lot of like hidden benefits in the Lehman Russ Vanquisher that you wouldn't necessarily know looking at them. You can make them just sort of be this annoying thing that you'd have to deal with. And the fact that they don't, I guess this one's running plasma cannons because their weapons tend to be very long range, so they're not usually in range to fire meltas anyway. But the fact that they don't have a blast weapon means a lot of times if you're fighting them with something that isn't super high damage in melee, they can just sink into melee with you and keep shooting you while they're there. Because unlike the standard Lehman Russ battle tank, they have no blast attacks. These ones do, obviously, because they have plasma cannons. But if you're rocking flamers or multi-meltas, they could just shoot into melee with you and it's fine. Or shoot out of melee and threaten people, which is cool. And then also Calidus Assassin for little utility. So we're taking those instead of the Rogaldorns, which is a bold move, but clearly worked out. You certainly get a lot more flexibility than the Rogaldorns. And we did watch, we watched Militarum over the weekend. We saw some gorgeously painted Rogaldorns, and they got unfortunately beat up on really fast. Adeptus Custodes, shout out to Adeptus Custodes, just ran them over. Rogaldorns are little eggs in baskety sometimes, where if you get rushed up on and they get engaged, things can go really poorly. All right. What's up next? We can talk about some Tyranids, chat. There's also this Tau Empire. Actually, I think we'll talk about Tau Empire. The results from the Smite Club Open were fascinating. Tau went 6-0. We also saw Orks undefeated. This was a natural draw, by the way. This isn't differential scoring. They just actually drew each other with a regular number. So Jason McKenzie ended up taking that one down with an undefeated record, but we did have Gareth Hunt and Donovan Sayo, who went 4-0-1. I believe the Castle Cup had a bunch of draws on it, but that was because it used differential. This one was more natural.
The man, the myth, the legend. Hope all is well. Was cool seeing you at Crucible. Crons, Hypercrypt. Would you play big stuff or spam like warriors?
Sean, thank you for the follow, by the way, or the super chat, by the way. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for the support. And yeah, Crucible was rad. So thanks to everybody who came up and said hi. I appreciate all the folks who came in and talked to me. That was sweet. I was a little isolated. They put me up on a big stage. If you watch the stream, you can definitely see it. Which was cool, but it wasn't like in the weeds like I am a lot of times. Would I play big stuff or spam warriors? I don't know if I would spam infantry in Hypercrypt. I think you take like 0 to 2 of the infantry bricks in order to act as late game scoring. But on the flip side, I think that those armies tend to be a little pillow-fisted on attacking, because the warriors kind of don't do anything like offensively. They are only there to control objectives. You can be screened out by a lot of stuff, like having Omni Scramblers in the opponent's list, and Dark Angels are really relevant right now. And especially with Navigators coming into the meta too, like suddenly everyone's going to have access to Omni Scramblers. So those can kind of blank the warrior game plan where you're trying to like command insert or War of Attrition in the late game. So I would say like 0 to 1 on warriors, and then the rest of the stuff is like big punchy stuff. I also think personally, if you're speaking personally, that's what from a metagame standpoint, that's what I look at. Speaking personally, all big stuff all the time. I think I'm accepting my psychoanalysis as a Timmy at heart. I just want to play big, cool tanks and monsters and things. So I would play Catan Shards, and I would play Tesseract Vaults, and I would play all that shit because I think it's rad. And it's cool that Hypercrypt Legion makes it so strong. Warriors of the Planet with a Plasmamancer will one-shot Magnus. Will they? Can you get Ignore Cover in that detachment? If you have a Triarch, maybe? It also requires you to then get there, which is a little bit tough too. I guess it is like theoretically possible to one-shot Magnus. If you have a Risen Tyrant, right, and then you're like rerolling, you get everybody in range, and you're rerolling 40 shots. If he's not in cover, which seems a little bit awkward, and you're shooting Reapers, then you average like 13 on the first shot, and then reroll into another 9, so it's like 22 saves. Plus you might get like 2 or 3 natural, plus the mortal wounds off the dude. So you plink him for like, call it 2 on mortals, and then you average another what did we say, like 25 I guess saves, probably average 12-ish damage. Two Monolith, 2 DDA, 1 test, 1 Silent King. I do like the Silent King, the teleporty Silent King lists. Those lists are always cool. Those are my favorite. Oh, if you have Saraz, you get to 2 AP. Yeah, he'll die with Saraz. It does feel like your opponent kind of has to cooperate with you a little bit. But I have a sneaking suspicion that you'll be able to pull that off at some point over the course of the game. It's probably difficult for him to stop that for the entire game, just the early game. So, I'll buy it. There you go. Just kill Magnus. Just kill him. Just do a murder. Do a murder on that guy. Let's talk about... We talked about Militarum. Oh, we're talking about Tau. We want to dive into some Tau. I forgot about Saraz in that math class there. I guess it is kind of weird to get Saraz out of a monolith, right? But I guess like Saraz just runs up the table. Because if you're cosmic precisioning the monolith, Saraz has to like naturally strategic reserve. It just makes things a little bit awkward. But it's probably not too hard to get him in range by just like wandering around. That dude's always in like dead center of the table because he's impossible to kill. So Jason McKenzie over here with Tau Empire. Rocking. He has a Starflare ignition system, so this is certainly Retaliation Cadre. Oh yeah, it says it right there. Just didn't say it at the very top. Gold Star Commander with the Eternal Grenadier Axe, so they get the bombing effect. Plus an Enforcer Battlesuit with the Uppy Downy, the Starflare ignition system. Plus an Ethereal. 2 units of 2 broadside battlesuits. I feel like we watched this list over the weekend, to be honest. 2 units of 2 broadside battlesuits with rail rifles and missile drones. These guys act as usually they strategic reserve, and they just act as little gun platforms running around. Fire Knife battlesuit, a Star Scythe battlesuit, and a Sunforge battlesuit. Do we have Farsight? Nope. Fuck them. We don't need them. Get out of here. No Farsight. So the Cold Star is running fusions. So I imagine that we're taking him alongside the Sunforged suit team, because he also benefits from the rerolls with them, and then gives them the speed to actually get those things in range without having to use the expensive
Another
deep
stream
strike.
to save us from watching old battle reports in the store while we paint. Thanks as always for the content.
Tabletop Nexus, thank you for the $5. Appreciate you. If the old battle reports you're watching are mine, then I always appreciate you watching those. I just reset all my stream VODs, so they're going live over on my TV channel, youtube.com/TacticalTortoise TV. They're going up there. Sarah's made 4 of 8 saves, and then 8 of 8 on a 4+ to survive at 1 wound. Yeah, he's that dude. The 4+ feel no pain, man. Remember, who remembers when every Necron unit had a 4+ feel no pain? When everyone had 2 fucking little barrels, little cryptid thralls in their list to give 4+ feel no pain, and then regenerated them. 4+ feel no pain. It's I'm glad it's less. It's not as prevalent as it was at the start of the edition. And even saying that, I play Endless Gift guy, and I feel dirty sometimes, because sometimes you just scam your opponent out of the entire game. And they're like, well, I should have won this game, and you're like, yeah, but I made all my 4-ups. And they're like, yeah, nothing you can do about it. I don't know. It's weird. All right. So yeah, we have the Enforcer battlesuit is rocking Missile Pod, so he's probably hanging out with the Fire Knife suit. And then we are running the Star Scythe battlesuits. Those guys rocking guns, I guess. Oh, Flamers. All right. So we're just going to have those as a 3-inch deep strike unit that can pop in. Get all of the +1 strength and AP from the Flamers. So AP 1 ignore cover, strength 5 with a million flamethrower shots. To blow some people out at close range. Ghost Kill battlesuit to take the center of the table while the battlesuits aren't doing anything. I think the interesting thing about the Ghost Kill is I think it has like a little bit of synergy with the Sunforged team, because the Ghost Kill can't be shot at, right? He's a lone operative, and he's very difficult to kill. So you have to actually dedicate significant resources to get rid of this dude. And the Sunforged team operates most effectively at 6 inches away. So they want to stand behind that Ghost Kill, force you to come into the Ghost Kill and overcommit to kill it, and then the Sunforged team just gets to pick up whatever killed the Ghost Kill and then run away. And I think that's like that's sort of the interaction we're trying to set up here. We recruit Carnivore team for some early game forward operating a Pathfinder team, because they roll Riptide, double Riptide, 1 Piranha, triple stealth battlesuits, and Vespid Sting Wings. I'm curious to see how this unit survives, chat, because I have a sneaking suspicion they might go to a 10-man unit. If past is precedent, all of those 10-man kill team boxes have turned into 10-man units, and 140-ish point Vespid Sting Wing unit definitely doesn't feel quite as good as the little 65-point uppy downy squad. That said, they could have new abilities, and currently Vespid Sting Wings are incredible because they beat out Rapid Ingresses so hard, which is super cool. They misspelled goat keel because it's amazing. The goat! It's the goat! Goat keel is good. Yeah, it's so funny because they don't really do any damage, right? They like, every once in a while they'll convert the overcharge cyclic for a hit, and it's like, okay, well that's something. But, oh my god. Trying to kill them makes you want to like pull your hair out. Stealth, lone up, 2+ save and cover, 2 blanks a game. Are you kidding me? For 160 points, it's like I don't know. It's like Saraz. It's like trying to kill Luminor Saraz. You can't do it. You can't do it. He's too strong. You basically got a 4+ field of pain. Too good, chat. All right, folks. Should we talk about some Tyranids? We got a little bit of Tyranids, and we got some Leagues of Votann to talk about. And some Adeptus Mechanicus before we maybe dive into some Chaos Space Marines. And then I think call it a day. Back to school GT. Sebastian. Jeffreyon, I guess. Jeffreyon. Undefeated with Tyranids. This is a smaller event. I think this was 20 players, if I remember correctly. But it was a very spicy Crusher Stampede which I know everyone's very excited about. The only character that lists is Swarmlord. But the Swarmlord works pretty effectively in Crusher Stampede. He doesn't really benefit from the detachment ability. He can get +1 to wound, which is kind of sweet, if he's below half strength. So he's actually starts killing people pretty hard. But the extra CP is good in order to sort of fuel the offensive buffs. And then, like Bjorn the Fell-Handed, he's a very aggressive Lord of Deceit. So he wants to be up in a position where you are trying to come in and kill all these monsters, and then he messes with your offensive stratagems, which is kind of the idea. The other benefit that you have here in a list like this that is running mass monsters is that you kind of want to be low on character count, because you don't want to incentivize an assassination plus to bring it down. So if you're bringing like 4 characters, then you can get to a position where your opponent's like, oh, I guess I'll just windmill slam that. And if they're playing a very aggressively oriented list that doesn't have a lot of utility, then that is fine for them. Obviously, it's not good for everyone, but you do want to like kind of take the decision point away. Their damage fucks up Necrons. Yeah, I guess like strength 8-3 damage pretty good against the heavy infantry stuff. We're rocking a Biovore, double Lictor, and a Pyrovore for some utility. Gargoyles and the double Hormigons. So a lot of screening and a lot of objective disruption. So you can use them to keep your opponent off balance on primary, and then you can use the monsters yourself to just dominate the center of the table. And then you're doing that with double Maleceptor, double Exocrine, triple Tyrannifex with Rupture Cannons. I think the Tyrannifex has probably ended up being kind of the saving grace of Tyranids. It's the one big damage, like high AP shot in the faction, and also is legitimately hard to kill. So it synergizes pretty well with the with Crusher Stampede in general, because these guys just wander around the table. They're super tough. They get the +2 AP if you don't shoot them, and once they shoot them, they Rupture Cannons go to hitting on 2s. And even if you've damaged them, even if you've brought them to the point where they bracket, they can actually counteract it by remaining stationary because their gun is heavy. So they can go back to hitting on 2s with the Rupture Cannon, even while they're at like 1 wound remaining, which is super silly. You can also buff that with the Exocrines, obviously, give them hit rerolls too. And then we have a Trigon, and we've talked about the Crusher Stampede Trigon before. I think it's probably Crusher Stampede is one of the better places for him. He doesn't really need it. He's his own delivery system. As long as you have CP to rapid ingress him, he almost always gets into melee with something good. The problem is that he very rarely does that in a position where he can either flip an objective, because I think you're only OC4. So most like light utility stuff out OCs them. So unless they are killing everything on an objective, they're rarely taking it. But in Crusher Stampede, you can ingress them or drop them on an objective, and they can become OC6 once they are undamaged. However, as soon as they're damaged, they go back to OC4, so they lose the objective probably, but they have 12 attacks that hit on 2s at that point, and potentially even wound on with +1 as well, so wound on 4s. There is also a stratagem for reroll hit rolls in the detachment on top of that, and when you're attacking a million times, it's also super useful. So, like, the profile just like works super well with Crusher Stampede, and buffing their OC is big, giving them some additional offensive output is big, and they give you this like kind of backline control that you don't normally have in Crusher Stampede, because you're all about on the board presence a lot of times. I wonder if there's a list somewhere in there that just runs a bunch of Trigons. Probably. There probably is for Crusher. A lot of times you want to run those with Vanguard, but their damage output just kind of sucks. Although you can give them +1 to hit with Surprise Assault, so that's good. Pretty good stuff, champ. And then some Leagues of Votann. So this was an interesting event. Fall of Empires 2. It's in Vietnam, if I remember correctly, I believe. I'm going to go with Tron Dawn was the name of the player. I am definitely going to accept responsibility if that is a wildly incorrect pronunciation of that, but I'll take it. This was actually a 30-player event. So it was pretty unlikely for there to be a no undefeated player at the end. It can theoretically happen because you lose a pair down if you have less than 32, but the closer you get to 32, the less likely it becomes. So it is very unlikely that we had a first place placer at a 4-1 record, but it happened. And so went down to tiebreakers, and Tron here took it down. Rocking triple Einherjar champion. Sick. One of them with a long list, one of them with a Praising Glare. Double Hearthkin Warriors, rocking triple Sagittarius to carry the Hearthkin Warriors around. 3 units of 5 Einherjar Hearthguard plus a Brokir Thunderkin unit. Triple Hekaton Land Fortresses, and that's it. That's the entire list. Oh my god. So we're filling up 3 Sagittarius full of dudes. We have another unit of 5 to sit on your backline home objective. We probably, we either, like, in and out the Brokir Thunderkin into a land fortress. So they start on the table. You use the land fortress to deliver the Hearthguard and then pile the Brokir into them, or vice versa, or you just put those guys in strategic reserve. Either one of those works. But then we're just filling Hekaton land fortresses with a bunch of Einherjar Hearthguard and running them up the table. Fair enough. Sometimes we talk about like the very intricate positional play of Leagues of Votann. Oh, we're doing the infiltration screen to prevent the movement block, so we can use the Hernkin Pioneers to open space for the Rapid Ingress. Not today. We're just putting 3 land fortresses in the center of the table and hoping for the best. I love it. Fair enough, chat. Just, yeah, I don't know. Just hit them with Einherjar champions. Hit them with the big hammer. Boop. The big mass hammer. Give them the old boop. Boop them on the noggin. Way to go, though. Congratulations on the win. Pretty sweet. Adeptus Mechanicus, I guess, is the next one. The next thing we can hop into. Seth Piper, 5-0 at the super cool tournament. This one was smaller. So this was, I think, sub 20 players. I think this was only 18 or 16 or something like that. Still went 5-0, so still went undefeated after all 5 games. But to be fair, these events here were up on the smaller side, like I mentioned at the top of the video. Rocking a Rad Zone core. So that's the updated index detachment. Not running Skitarii Hunter cohort. Taking a Dominus with the autoclavic denunciation. So that's the I'm going to double check here, but I believe that that's the plus attack enhancement. Yeah, it used to be plus attack. Excuse me. It's anti-infantry 2, anti-monster 4, and then the Dominus has a devastating weapon, I believe. But it used to give him an additional 3 attacks, and his gun went fucking nuts. Yeah, his Volkite Blaster is devastating. So inflicts auto 2 mortals on infantry on 2s and then on 4s into monsters, which is pretty solid. We also have a Manipulous Imperialist Eradicator, so that's the sustained hits, and then a Techno-Archaeologist with Radial Suffusion, so that's the additional range on your Rad Zone effect off of your opponent's deployment zone. Techno-Archaeologist is mostly going to be sitting in the back and protecting your home objective from being dropped on by enemy Deep Strikers. So having that dude just be able to sort of passively provide that buff is a big deal, because once he dies, you do return the Rad Zone roll back to the deployment zone. Otherwise, he extends the range of their deployment zone by 6 inches for the purposes of that ability. But if you kill him, it does flip things over on their head. But he's mostly keeping you safe the entire game. Occasionally, you see this thing on like a Skitarii Marshal or something, and that guy dies early, and then things go really sideways. We've got Skitarii Rangers ×2, Vanguard ×2. Not too many of the Skitarii in this list. Only 40. The casual 40. 2 units of Cataphan Breachers, so that's for the Tech Priest to jump into. Plus an Onager Dune Crawler, 1 unit of Sicarian Infiltrators, so we have a lot of forward operation. Got Infiltrate over here, and then Scout off of the Rangers. Or excuse me, it's 2 units. 2 units. Plus 2 units of Sicarian Rust Stalkers, plus 2 units of Sidonian Dragoons, individual Sidonian Dragoons, little utility. And we do have Iron Strider Ballistari in the backline to shoot as well. So it's kind of the Cataphan Breacher show with a bunch of help. The Onager Dune Crawler and the Iron Strider Ballistari certainly provide a lot of additional fire support, but the Cataphan Breachers are where a lot of the damage from the list is going to come. But they're still that's still a super strong unit, especially if you're playing against vehicle stuff. If against vehicle heavies, these guys go absolutely nuts. Absolutely insane. All right, chat. Should we talk about some Chaos Space Marines? Rip the Band-Aid off some Chaos, and then maybe call it a day. Anybody have any other factions we want to dive into? Oh, there's an orc list. Oh, excuse me. We should talk about orcs before we do talk about Chaos Space Marines. I feel like we've taken so much time to talk about Chaos Space Marines over the last couple weeks. There's actually an undefeated Dread Mob. Fuck yeah. So the Smite Club Open, where we were talking about Jason McKenzie's Tau Empire. This is the one with a pretty weird result. Gareth Hunt went 5-0-1 with orcs, rocking Dread Mob. So that's sick. We got Zodgrod Wart Snaga, so he's the Gretchen attachment, who gives him this 9-inch scout plus a bunch of buffs, plus one -1 to be hit and wounded, I think. Triple shock attack gun, big mechs, one with the ignore cover, one with the stealth enhancements. Ooh, dehydrated. 3 units of flash kits. Oh my god. 1, 2, 3, 4, 100 Gretchen, chat. 100 Gretchen. This is mad, man. They have the game's like most insane reactive move. If I remember correctly, it's a 6-inch reactive move that hits you for D3 mortal wounds. It is called Conniving Runts. Yeah, it is a normal move that also does... Oh, excuse me. On a 4+, D3 plus 1 mortal wounds. Excuse me. Sorry. D3 plus 1. Extra damage. So you can fill the board with all of these. There's some million dudes who are going to gum up your movement, stop you from getting to the shock attack guns, and also reactive moves, so they're even hard to get to grips with as well. Plus, they're also like passively dealing you damage on top of that. 3 units of Ludas there for the shock attack guns to jump into. Awkwardly, don't receive any benefit from the shock attack guns joining them besides getting the detachment ability, except that they give rerolls against enemies on objectives, so they make the shock attack guns actually hit stuff. And the damage from the shock attack guns is actually kind of sweet once they get that hit reroll. 2 units of Storm Boys for utility. 3 mech gun bubble chuckas, which I think is just a random attack weapon, right? Oh, oops. I think they're the one that you roll for. That's the one, right? Yeah. So they're oop. On a 1, 2, or 2, they fire a big bubble, the 2d6 blast weapon. On a 3 or 4, they fire a wobbly bubble, which is a d6 3 damage blast weapon. So they have a light infantry profile, a heavy infantry profile, and an anti-tank profile, which is the dense bubble. On a 5 to 6, d3 blast, strength 12, AP3, d6 plus 3 damage. I believe that the ability, though, is, and this is why 39k pro sucks. It loads so much faster, but it does not have weapon abilities on it for whatever reason. There we go. We'll use Wikipedia for our reference today. So when you go to shoot, before you select targets, you roll the profile that you make attacks with. That's important to note because you can choose the profile. You can choose a target that the profile that you roll is effective against. I believe that this was not the case in previous editions. They would give you a random effect, but you wouldn't know who you were what you were shooting when you selected your target. I think that's how it used to work, but the 10th edition has been updated, so it works the way that's good. And then all of those are obviously going to benefit from the hit the button abilities quite a bit, especially getting like sustained hits on the strength 12, D3 D6 plus 3 damage gun. That's a lot of additional potential damage, or even just lethal hits on like the wobbly bubble is also good. And they get reroll hits of 1 against non-monster vehicles. Holy Grot Mania. Yeah. Yeah, this list is wild. The flash kits are interesting. I don't believe they get they have any like internal synergy, if I remember correctly, with the Dread Mob. Because they don't have any of the correct keywords. They don't have any attachments, but I think they're just in there as like an anti-infantry, like fire hose, like just a bunch of shooting a bunch of guns. I think that's the case. I'll verify that. Because they're only just infantry keyworded, and then the Dread Mob detachment ability, I believe, requires you to be a mech or a vehicle. Yeah, mech, orc walker, or grot vehicle. So they don't have any. They don't get any of this stuff, but they just shoot a bunch. I think you could use bigger shells on them. No, that's the same keyword restriction. Yeah, I guess they actually get no benefit from the detachment whatsoever. They just shoot good. Fair enough. If we're in the detachment that's shooting a bunch, we might as well take the guys who are also good at shooting. Why not? All right, Chaos Space Marine time, chat. So Chaos Space Marines had a similarly good weekend. I think so. Necrons had a pretty good one. They went undefeated at the Toys of Mass Destruction and MidCon GT. Militarum had 2 undefeated. Oh, I guess Necron's also undefeated at the Italian Grand GT too. Adeptus Custodes had 2 undefeated, like we just talked about. The Archangels were 1. So there's a lot of 2 undefeated results. Chaos Space Marines are one of them. Conar Leech, undefeated at the Dominion Presents GT, running a Soulforged Warpack. There is a Dark Commune, so watch out. Plus a Warpsmith with Tempting Addendum. I got a new laser toy for Inky right now. She's thinking about playing with it. This is the most toy, like, I don't know. She just doesn't like play with toys. I don't get it. She just doesn't play. She's too serious to play around. So the Warpsmith with Tempting Addendum, which I believe is you get a penalty on your special dark pack check, your special Soulforged Warpack check, but you get +1 to wound with your guns. Is that right? Or +1 to hit. They already get +1 to wound, I think. That's how that works. I should double check, because I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, they get +1 to wound if they use a contract invocation, and then they also get reroll hits. Excuse me, reroll hits. If they use Tempting Addendum as well. However, if they fail the Dark Pact check, they get -1 leadership on. If they are invoking the contract, they also suffer an additional mortal wound. It's interesting that the Tempting Addendum is actually not optional. As long as you are invoking a contract, you get that benefit. You get that the addendum as well. You can't choose not to use the addendum. You must get hit rerolls in exchange for potential additional mortal wound. Yeah. Hope there's a Lord of Skulls coming. Let's find out. We'll find out together, chat. We got a Cursed Cultist squad with the Dark Commune, Cultist Mob, Chaos Bikers for some utility, Vindicators, triple Forge Fiends, a Hellbrute. So we can double sustained lethal with the Hellbrute and the Forge Fiend. So we're kind of assembling the little wombo combo here. You can pay the CP to turn the Chaos Vindicators into demons, so they get all those benefits as well. Because I think they have to be demons in order to use the contract invocation. And then they get hit rerolls from the Tempting Addendum, and then they get sustained lethal from the Hellbrute on top of that. We don't have improved criticals, I don't believe, anywhere in the detachment. So it's not the full combo. It's not the Bankbound Zealot combo. But it's pretty close. Hit rerolls and a bunch of additional critical effects on top of that, so we can fish for 6s and get a bunch of damage through on Vindicators or the Forge Fiends. Plus double Raptors, plus a bunch of allies. Nurglings, so we have an Infiltrator. Seekers, so we have a big Scout, and then the Demonettes in order to unlock the Seekers as well. Because I don't think we have any of that stuff in... Because the Accursed Cultists lose Scout if they attach to the Dark Commune, which I imagine that they're doing. So we're very limited on forward operators in the core Chaos Space Marine Codex. But that's what we're doing here. We're able to shore up that weakness a little bit. This is kind of an interesting combination. It's a little expensive. It's 220 points, I guess, for the ally detachment. But the Demonettes aren't too bad. They're fast and OC2, so they're good at objective holding and disrupting and scoring. The Seekers are 9-inch scouters, so they're incredibly good at keeping enemies off of you for a turn. But the problem is they get body blocked really easily, which you can block with the Nurglings. So they all kind of work together super well. And if you're trying to fire a bunch of blast weapons into your opponent's army, that makes sense that you would be including that. Yeah, just the one scouter, unless, of course, I think the Accursed Commune or the Dark Commune could join the Cultist mob, right? And then let the Accursed Cultist scout, but, like, they're not going to do that. There's no way. But that does, like, sort of pave the way for the Accursed Cultist to run down the table and just eat a bunch of damage in the middle of the table for a turn. Oh, excuse me, chat. Oh, my God. It's been a whole day. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, they called it the 5-up. You can advance and charge them, though. Once per game. And get +1 to hit and wound with their... What are they called? What are they? Brutal melee weapons or whatever? Brutal assault weapons? They're like strike 3, AP 0, 2 attacks. Get them. Get them, boys. Ooh, brutal assault weapons. That's a brutal profile right there, chat. I know when I think of a brutal weapon in Warhammer 40,000, what do I think of? Thunderhammer? No. The Lightning Claw? No. The Hyper Phase Blade? No. This is Strength 3 AP 0. That's the one. That's the one that comes to mind for me. All right, yeah, let's talk about the other one. So this is Wolf on Mibu over from Breaking Heads DE, and I wonder, actually, I'm gonna double check. I know that War Games Live was streaming Charity Hammer today, and I know that Hellstorm Wargaming was streaming the other thing. I'm wondering if they streamed Castle Cup on Breaking Heads. It doesn't look like they did, but it does look like, if you want more information on this, Wolf on Mibu did talk about his Castle Cup list over on Breaking Heads. That is a German language channel, FYI, so just be warned. If you are okay with watching some closed caption, unless they did this episode in English, which they do sometimes, but I imagine they didn't. Then you can actually get this list technology straight from the horse's mouth, but I'll do my best to discern what's going on. I think it's a fairly normal Renegade Raiders. We got the Dread Reaver Chaos Lord, so he's got the rerolls when he's next to your deployment zone. A Mark of the Hound Dark Commune, so his unit can scout. 2 more regular Dark Communes and Fabulous Bill to just stand on objectives and stuff. Cultist Mob, double Chaos Rhinos. Triple Accursed Cultist units. 2 Predator Destructors, a big chosen squad for the Lord to hang out with, and then triple Rubric Marines. And that's it. That's all we got going on. So we can put the chosen with the Chaos Lord into one of the Rhinos. The other one can fill up with Rubric Marines and just wander around the table. Otherwise, yeah, this is kind of standard Renegade Raider stuff, to be honest. This is a little bit less spicy than I thought about, than I was kind of expecting. Wolf on Mibu absolutely freaking loves his like super spicy combos, but today he just took some normal Renegade Raider stuff. Strength 3 AP 0 terrifies the Nightbringer. That's fair. Strength 3 AP 0 might as well be Strength 5, AP 4. You know what I mean? Might as well be Strength 5, AP 4, 2 damage against the Nightbringer. It's exactly the same. Literally identical. Yeah, that's a Renegade Raiders list if I ever did see one there, chat. But congratulations on taking that one down. There were, like I said too, there was a bunch of draws at the end of this one as well, because that one did use differential scoring, used the WTC scoring, so they drew at the end there. I'm a little bit curious about these Necron lists. Danny Evison got a Hypercrypt Legion list over here at the Goonhammer. Is this the warrior list we were talking about, chat? Oh, no. This is monoliths. Oh, cool. Fair enough. Dimensional Overseer Royal Warden plus an Immortal Squad. The Silent King. It's a little bit hard to read. The Silent King, Royal Warden with the extra uppy downy boy. And an Immortal Squad for him. 2 units of Death Marks. 3 Locust Destroyers individually. A Canoptic Spider. How the Canoptic Spider has risen from the ashes. Because that guy did not see play at all after the brief shining moment when the Gloom Prism was like the silliest anti-psyker tech in the world. But now the Gloom Prism's good because Thousand Suns and Grey Knights are really popular, so he comes up a lot. And just having a 6+ Feel No Pain on a bunch of big stupid idiots is like also good. The one thing that we ran into over the weekend, chat, if you were watching the live stream, is that the Canoptic Spider, despite being just a spider with a bunch of legs, is not, to my knowledge, a walker. Because he flies, so he's like a flyer, and is a vehicle. Yeah, he's a non-walker vehicle, chat. So this dude, who is a spider, is a little scuttling arachnid, cannot heroically intervene, which did come up in a game on stream. Necron player tried to heroically intervene it, and we were like, hold up, wait a minute, this thing cannot heroically intervene. Okay, sure, I guess. He's floating too slowly, floating around the table at too slow of a rate in order to heroically intervene. Pretty wild stuff. Also, the Silent King. Can't do that either. Super weird. That one is maybe the stranger of the two, especially because heroic interventions with that guy used to be so dangerous. No Necrons can, except the Catan, Ceres, and the Triarch. I mean, like, and all the other stuff, right? And the rest of the faction. The Silent King. That also came up in that game too. The Silent King tried to heroic intervention. We couldn't do it. We're like, hold up, he's a floaty boy too. That one's pretty weird. This list rules though. This is basically the list that we watched on stream actually. Oh no, that was a Tressarch's Vault instead of the double monoliths. And it had some more infantry in it, but otherwise generally basically the same. Just super tough to knock these things down, and they can hop around the table to always get in line of sight with the Death Rays with the Doomsday Cannons. And they get the rerolls from the Silent King. You can always basically 3-inch deep strike that dude, right? Or just sort of naturally preserve him right where you need them to. There's also big benefit in Pariah Nexus, depending on the terrain formats that this used, the event used. The Silent King's on 100 mil base, and because he base measure, I guess he doesn't base measure anymore, so he has to actually fit his model through stuff. But because they expanded so many of the vertical elements of terrain, the Silent King has a much easier time moving around things than he did previously. Last season, I think layout 1, for example, was really restrictive to him, but now he can fit through the gap between the walls there, and that's a really big deal. He should have about an inch of clearance off his base. Matthew Putney, who's another Hypercrypt Legion. This one is a Risen Tyrant Chronomancer, Standard Chronomancer, Hexmark Destroyer, Imitate the Stormlord, Overlord with Dimensional Overseer, and TSK himself, double Immortals for the Chronomancers and the Lords to jump into. Another Canoptic Spider, it's everywhere now. A Doomsday Arc, Flayed One, double Locust Destroyers, 1 Monolith, Tomb Blades. The Tomb Blades, I think, are an underplayed unit in probably Necrons in general. Every time, they used to be in every list. And now when I play against Necrons, every time I see them, I'm like, I forgot how annoying this unit was. Because they're super tough to kill. They regenerate themselves if you don't kill them. And they have a 9-inch scout. They shoot good. They get the particle beamers. So they can devastating wound you for a bunch of damage randomly. And they act as a turn 1 utility unit, which this list doesn't really have otherwise.
It's called a split deal.
It's called a split deer. Of course. That's what I'm going to call it on commentary from now on. The split deer. Yeah. And the Fire and Fate too. Hard to afford them. Yeah, I get that. But the thing that Hypercrypt I have seen sometimes falls down on is when it goes first. And when it goes first and then like gets an awkward secondary on turn 1, then it doesn't have a good way to complete. Because none of its stuff is in reserve and it can't like deep strike that turn. Then it sometimes can like sort of give up some points that way. And Tomb Blade's just acting as a unit that can like either go like kill your chaff it like idiot stupid guys that like, you know, I got 5 T3 dudes and the Tomb Blades will just go shoot them with particle beamers and they'll die. Or you like pull, I don't know, like Established Locus or something on turn 1. Even behind enemy lines, I think they can do turn 1, right? Because they can advance and shoot because they have a Tesla Carbine in the unit, so they can move like 18 and then shoot and then move again. So if you have a close deployment, they actually get up in there. Actually, it's really easy because they scout also. Then you just get it, you like rip that right off turn 1, and then it's fine. Instead of giving up the secondary points. Like you would have to otherwise. Fire inflated Tomb Blades to move like a Land Raider Redeemer? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. You might be able to reroll behind, I don't know. Do you have to? I don't think that's ever come up for me. Or maybe I did it and maybe I was supposed to do it and I didn't. That also could have happened. Behind enemy lines. Oh yeah, you can redraw it. But like you could also just score it, right? If you're going first and the Tomb Blade's 9-inch scouted up the center, they probably are in a position to score behind enemy lines. Or just get you 3 points in turn 1. And if you don't care about kills, then that's fine. Six blades with party blasters could be really effective. Yeah, so we saw that a little bit. I guess it was like back in the day. If you can find rerolls, the particle beamers actually get a little silly. So the lists with the Silent King in them, if you can like trail them to him or push him up the table, then they get super efficient with the rerolls. Because you're just firing so many shots. I think that is actually like a legitimately good unit for sure. All right, chats. I think that's all the lists. I don't know if we talked about this one from the Italian Grand Tournament. This one is a bunch of Doomsday Arcs. So this is another tank-focused Hypercrypt Legion. He's running the Silent King. It does have a Catan Shard of the Nightbringer, so it's tougher to fight over the mid-center of the table. Because he'll just kill you. 2 Canoptic Spiders this one. That is interesting, because we did see sometimes where the brick would sort of expand, and you were out of your Canoptic Spider aura, and that made it sad. And the Canoptic Spiders do seem like they're good enough by themselves that they basically justify their cost, even if you're not getting the maximum usefulness out of them. We also had triple Doomsday Arcs, triple Locust Destroyers for utility, 1 Monolith as well. So let's have no infantry. Oh, it has the Hex Mark. It's 1 Hex Mark Destroyer, chat. What are you going to Gate of Eternity with your Monolith? This one guy. Bloop. He's going to sabotage. We did look at the Admech list, yep. Seth Piper's Adeptus Mechanicus. It was a Rad Zone Cohort. So yeah, those are the undefeated lists this week. That's what's going on. Good job, Necrons. Necrons killing it. Necrons, Chaos Space Marines, Adeptus Custodes. A little bit of a honorable mention to Space Wolves. They did have some draws. Orks as well, with a undefeated result too, and Dark Angels Tau Empire with the big event wins as well. So I don't know, definitely a little bit more of an interesting week than we typically see. Not it wasn't all Adeptus Sororitas, which is nice, but I'm sure they'll be back. I think the event I'm streaming next weekend is, or this coming weekend, I should say, is kind of like a lot of sisters. So get ready to see some very high-level sisters play. Yeah, I think I'm going to sign things off there, chat. Do Custodes, Land Raiders have play? They do. They do in Talons of the Emperor specifically. They do see some play because you have a reactive move, a really good one actually. I believe it's a flat 6 inches for up to 1 Custodes and 1 Talon, one Anathema Psychona unit within 9 of the triggering unit. So a lot of times what you'll do is you'll see this Land Raider play where you push up and you keep close to the Land Raider, and when your opponent comes back in, you trigger the reactive move and get back in the Land Raider, and then they have to kill a Land Raider, which is already difficult, and also the stuff inside. So that does see a lot of play, yeah. I don't think you typically see them outside of that. I think it's very occasional. You see them in like Shield Host or something, but in Talons of the Emperor, they are very good, yeah, for sure. Also being able to like deliver like rerolling Custodian Guard squads or something onto an objective in the center, and then you can +1 strength and AP them. Then you can sort of blast people. That's also pretty solid. We were talking at one point over the live stream about Crucible. What would make Custodes better as a faction? And I do think having easier access to transports would be a big deal because they have such strong melee infantry. That is entirely reliant on its own defensive profiles to like get up the table, and it's so difficult to do unless your name is Custodian Wardens. The Custodian Wardens are very difficult to kill, but the other Custodian options are like they just fall over super fast. And if they had like 120 point transport that could carry like 4 dudes, I think you would see a lot more lists running stuff like Custodian Guard squads, just a bunch of Custodian Guard squads without having to rely on them staying on the table. But yeah, chat, I think that's gonna be it for me today. Some good lists to look at. I will, as I mentioned before, if you are in the chat room right now, you will get redirected to my weekend stream this weekend. Once the stream is over. In addition, I will be live over on Twitch. We were scheduled for 7, but I might see if I can push that one a little bit earlier. So within an hour or so is going to be when that stream starts. Give me a follow over on Twitch, twitch.tv/TacticalTortoise, or pay attention to the Discord because I put all my stream announcements in there as well. And you'll know when that one goes live. That should be a spicy game. That is Necrons, and I'm playing Tank Commanders. I'm playing a whole 2 Tank Commanders, but it's a whole ass tank company. I don't know if I have what it takes to beat Hypercrypt Legion. They're very maneuverable, and I am not. But also, I do have like 8 Leman Russ, so what could possibly go wrong? Certainly nothing. So I'll see you over there, everybody. Thanks for chilling with me in the stream today. And at the very least, I'll see you this weekend for the NEO Invitational. Cheers.